Welcome to Azure Infinitum Podcasts. This is your host, Hikaru Kazushime from Azure Infinitum Network, also known as Reika Fujishima, leader and master of Azure Infinitum Guilds. Here with me today is none other than Major Payne, as well as Lieutenant Reika Fujishima. Welcome, guys. Thanks for joining the podcast today.
Thanks for having me.
Keep your hand to yourself.
All right. Well, we are going to go down a list of things here we're excited to talk about. We recently had the PlayStation State of Play. We're going to go down a list of those games we're excited for. Some things that might have stood out to us and just kind of go down a list a little bit later in the podcast. Also, we do want to talk about briefly some recent happenings in Azure Infinitum Network, as well as some of our different guilds and our games, our Azure Wings, as we call them. We definitely want to go over some plans here shortly for next month, October 2024, which we're going to see the release of FF14 patch 7.1, as well as a whole slew of content and things that we're planning for, that we're looking forward to now. So here we are, just a couple days from the start of October. We're pretty excited for it, and all the releases. There's a ton of huge games coming out next month. There's a bunch I'm looking forward to. I've got a couple on pre-order. Throne of Liberty is another MMO that we were just talking about prior to the podcast. That's out now in early access. We've also got the kind of redo console also launch of New World Eternum. Not sure how that's going to turn out, but there's a whole bunch of other games. Diablo 4's expansion. There is... Let's see, what else is there? There's the Romancing Saga 2 remake towards the end of the month. Dragon Ball Sparking Neo, or is that what it was? That's coming out. Senkaichi 4, for those that remember that series. One of my favorites. I'm actually looking forward to it. And we also got the re-release of the PS4 and Switch copies of the FF Pixel Remaster Collection of Final Fantasy 1 through 6. For those that don't know, that was previously released as a physical copy that went up to $1,000 because it was so limited off of the Square Enix website. They've done a second printing for collectors who want to have a physical copy. So definitely want to get that. And thankfully, it's not $1,000. But you might want to get a copy before they disappear again, in case. Other than that, we've got... a number of plans here for our network and our different guilds, especially our FF14 Free Company, our Pride and Joy, our Gem, our Crown Jewel, as we call it. And just kicking things off here. Wow, what a month it's been. September going into the third full month of Dawn Trail, FF14's latest expansion. It's been quite a journey. A lot of us have spent time in the Arcadian, training against other fighters and getting loot each week. We moved into our second extreme trial for Monstrous Mondays, kicking butt each week, getting clears and learning groups going on there in Monstrous Mondays, doing EX2 for Dawn Trail. It's Everkeep Extreme. We've got all of our other events are full force. Scheduled throughout the week. We've got 9 events overall right now. And we've also got like raids, prime and late night as well. And so there's a whole slew of things going on. We are hoping to see more rewards and increased loot in the near future. So while things are a little slow in content like maps right now, we do have a lot of hopes that future patches brings a bit more to the game. But before we move into October plans and content in our FF14 FC, I do want to take a brief second here and thank everybody who supported Azure Summerfest. It's been a minute since we had a few of us here on the podcast. Last time I did a little episode that was kind of just me talking to you guys about updates and recent things going on with Azure. And then prior to that, we had an episode a little while back, some weeks prior to that. So it's been a minute. But Azure Summerfest was our big 3-day event of the year. Took place at the end of August, that last weekend. And we had a blast. We had a couple days there full of excitement and different events that we did. So a lot of those videos from those events are up on our YouTube. You can see our darts games, our chocobo races, a few other things there that we did. Our big tournament. Congrats to tournament champion Rocco, who took the Infinitum championship. Did you guys have a chance to, like, Rack, you were there. You were at the tournament.
Heck yeah, it was. That was an awesome tournament.
Yeah. Yeah, you were there. I know Major didn't get a chance to make it, but I definitely remember you, Rack, and I edited those videos not too long ago, so I remember I was like, yeah, he was there. He was there. I forgot what class you played, though.
Samurai.
Oh, okay, yeah. That's right. Yeah, that was something. It was great because we had a vacant championship. It's been a minute since we had a big tournament. Normally, Azure Infinitum will host a Azure Grand Duel tournament, usually around an Azure Day weekend. That's our special, like 2-day weekend events where we'll just shower the FC in prizes, do all kinds of cool, like mini games, hold tons of raffles, do like races, glamour shows, auctions, contests of all kinds. It's a lot of fun. We've got a few event venues. One of them being Major's house over in, I think, Ward 28, the Azure event venue. Very fancy, very nice place. And we just have a lot of fun on those days. We do parades and all kinds of cool stuff. Always scheduled on our site where you can find programs. The next big one is going to be the 10th anniversary. 10th anniversary. It's almost here. That's November. November 2nd is the official founding day. The end of the month will be the actual like anniversary weekend that we host. And then we're also going to have that traditional yearly like photo day where we just take like a big picture of the FC that's scheduled ahead of time. But that's in November, so we got a little ways till then. We're just finishing up September right now, so we'll talk a bit more about those plans for anniversary stuff, probably on one of the next podcasts, and also during our assembly cast as well. But coming into September, we kind of had all that fun from Summerfest, kind of faded off, and then we went into our weekly schedule being fully back in action, and just it's been really great. Events have been awesome. Arcadian's been popping every week. Lots of clears, lots of people learning the fights and having fun. We've got some people doing call-outs that are new to doing that, myself included, for our Arcadian raids. And it's great to see a few folks that have stepped up to help host. And, things have just been, they've been very chill. They've been very chill, very good. And so basically, what we've been trying to do is keep as many videos going for our events. It kind of helps you guys who are interested in our community that might be listening, or those within our community, kind of go to, have a place where you can go to like this archive on our YouTube and just see like all these things that we do together. Lately, I've tried a new editing style that will kind of like cut out some of the long pauses. So maybe some events will have like a whole fight, but like have some editing in between so you can still see the big mechanics and stuff. And then other events are just kind of like just a collection of like us having crazy chats while we're doing maps and stuff like that. So, and our special ones, like the tournament and stuff, that's all on there too. So I hope those that check out our YouTube, we're not trying to go for thousands of views or anything like that. We just really enjoy having the chance to archive some of these fun moments that we have together. And it's been going really good. Since the start of the year, 200 some videos. Awesome. Really, really awesome. I started out with just ripping the stream that I was doing, and then I kind of haven't been streaming as much. It's mostly been recording, which is actually a little easier. I get the video right away and at a little higher quality. But overall, lots of event videos over there on our YouTube. The the latest one, the Everkeep one from the other day, is actually pretty funny. I had a lot of fun editing Celine's scream when I almost killed everybody with the mechanic. I did like a little slow-mo version and then like sped back up again and just kind of like made me laugh. And we were cracking up during that moment too. So it was just kind of a funny way to start that video. But yeah, we have a lot of hopes for what's coming up here. There is a live letter tonight, a letter from the producer live, the FF14 producer live stream. That's going to give us information on patch 7.1. Like I said earlier, that's the next patch in the Dawn Trail expansion for 14. And we got a lot of hopes. We had a lot of high hopes. As we were saying a little bit ago, prior to this podcast, Dawn Trail has been good. It's had to fill some big shoes coming from the previous story arc, but I'm looking forward to what's ahead. What are you two hoping that we see on the live letter? Like, what are you guys looking forward to most?
Housing expansion.
Housing expansion. Okay.
Yes. Not more housing. The stuff that they promised us that they were going to do, i.e. expanding the amount of stuff that you put in your house.
Oh, yeah, increasing the volume. Yeah, they did say they were going to do that, right?
Uh-huh.
Yeah, I wonder when that's... Yeah, I didn't think about that.
Yeah.
I forgot. I kind of forgot about that, actually.
I'm just looking forward to the Final Fantasy 11 raids.
Me too.
And I want them to be good.
Me too.
I don't want a disappointment.
We're definitely
I don't want to see him and be like,
Archangels.
oh, okay, cool. Yeah.
Yeah, they showed the that area with like the crystals, so, or whatever those little glow sticks were. So yeah, a little teaser image that's out right now shows the like the Beastman like banner symbol, Shadow Lord symbol, with the Archangel crystals. So that's probably going to be the first one. They already did confirm Shadow Lord. They showed an artwork of him, I think at FanFest, one of the last ones. And that would make sense for the first raid, right? Because like then the other two could be focused on like, Change of Permathia or whatever else, right? So that would be cool if it goes through like those, super iconic final bosses of 11 for whatever reason we're going there.
I still want a map fight.
Oh yeah, the Matt fights. The guy named Matt, you got to fight him to get your like level cap and skills and all that.
Yep. This whole time I've been saying I want there to be a mechanic where it separates you from your party and you have an individual 1v1 fight against Matt to get back to your party.
In Myths of the Realm where we got to Oshan and we're like, yep, that's it. That's all the 12, but there was one more boss. What if they do that with 11? They're like, yeah, you've passed like all the other final bosses, but wait a second, the trials or the duty's not over yet, and you get to the very like top, and it's him like coming down or something.
and then he talks about how in order to break your own limits,
you
have to fight yourself, and then you're like, oh great, it's Matt fight.
Oh man, that would be pretty funny. Yep, that'd be good. The Major, you want to do more housing stuff. You want more space. I think we all do.
Yep.
I think that's a pretty plausible a pretty plausible possibility for what's coming. Obviously, it's coming at some point during Dawn Trail, but I just wish we had like just two more spots in the yard, like just two. Like I'd be happy with just two in the yard, like just two more things in the yard, because I find myself when I put our yards together for seasonals and then I put it back to whatever our like most common design is, it kind of evolves very slowly over time, just to keep kind of like a like our FC yard in game, our at our estate hall here, our base in 14. We kind of like to have some yard space for grouping. We've also got the 3 pieces of bricks. That's 3 slots there coming from the door. And some seating area, and then just like some trees to kind of fill it in the corners. While keeping things blue and interesting. And I'm really, really fond of our current design. But every time I put it into seasonal and then bring it back, there's always like 1 or 2 pieces where I'm like, wait, was that there last time? And then I wish we just had 2 more slots. So many times I wish there was just like 1 slot that I could just put 1 more thing in, and not just because I could, but just because like there's something that would match really well to go in the lawn.
Every man's dream.
Level 1 training dummy.
Level 1 training. You know what? Like, we could put more than one dummy out, but it's kind of like, okay, like.
Oh, we got it more than one dummy already out.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. The Chocobo. I mean, technically, there's 2 scarecrows there, but.
A yard of only training dummy.
Oh, that sounds like a nightmare. So, notoriously, I hate those things because they're always an eyesore every time. Like, they always match the theme of an expansion. Like, we had like a Thavnarian looking one, we had like a Garabanian looking one, we had, you know, so on and so forth. The first couple, they just looked like, you know, little wooden figures and stuff. But from a certain point on, they were just like really out of place and really ugly. I think it started with the Charlian one. It was just so ugly looking. And at least that was more of like a pillar-like thing. This new one is just ridiculous. I hate the current one.
Pillar?
Yep. Why are you saying it like that?
I'll make a lot of you.
Peeler? Well, no, like the current one right now that's in the tree, which I'm known for doing, putting in the tree to hide it, because like I've always kept it on that side of the yard. Like it can't be near the stables like too close, and it can't be like right in the smack in the middle of like the tables areas. So that's like the only place to put it where we have it at. And this current one is the most weirdest shape of them all. Like usually they're round or something. Like this is like, it's got pieces like sticking off of it in like weird angles. Like it's got one part that's like just protruding outward, and it's purple and black, which doesn't match anything in our lawn at all. It's hideous. And so I'm really happy with where it's at right now.
Talking about a tree.
Huh?
Yes, folks, we're talking about a tree.
No, we're talking about the striking dummy that's in the tree. But hey, here's the plus side. Here's the plus side, though. Right now, it looks like Electrope that's augmented onto the tree. Like, it totally looks like something that's not a dummy, because the little ring around the center goes perfectly around the trunk of the tree, and the other parts look like little augmentations. So it could be, I don't know, it could be like farming like sap out of it or something. It actually looks practical. But without that tree there, it would just be an insane eyesore. Like it'd drive me insane every day and make me regret it. Like every day that I see it. So I'm glad at least like it is where it's at, because I hate those things. And everybody always wants like multiple of them. And I love our members so much, but most people don't know how limited the yard slots are. Because you have to have chocobos and gardens, and you got to have the teleport thing, the crystal. So that's already like a quarter of your stuff, you know. So it's just it's tough. It's tough. I'm always at war with that stupid striking dummy, and we take it away for seasonals so that we can have more space. And a lot of people don't know about like Stone Sky Sea type areas, like the training areas. So technically, you do have access to dummies at any time, but I know it's convenient for our members, and I try to make it fit as much as possible. At least now it's in a good place. But
what did you say? That 14 is full of them?
Huh? No. I'm saying you could access the. I see what you did there.
14 for dummies.
Yep. So
that's what I heard.
Anyway, we got a lot of stuff to talk about, so we're gonna try to move on. So plans, FC plans. So 7.1's on the horizon. Obviously, it's gonna be either mid to late next month or early November. I wouldn't be surprised if it was November, but I really hope it's next month. That's kind of how these things usually go. Very good chance it could be the end of next month, though. I mean, it could be a week before Halloween. I don't think that's too abnormal for past 14 releases, if I remember correctly, because they're going to have the All Saints maintenance to put that in the game a little while after the patch. So it could be, if you count the Tuesdays, remember it's always a Tuesday they come out, could be a Tuesday that is like in the mid-October range, maybe. I really hope. Otherwise, yeah, we're in for another like 4 to 6 weeks of just waiting until that comes out. So when that comes out, one of the very first plans, probably the very first one, is the fact that it comes out on a Tuesday. That's reset day. It's also raid day for Azure. That means the Azure Arcadian Tuesdays is going to be on hiatus. The week prior will be the last one. And whatever week that is, that's the week before the announced patch coming out. Then once 7.1 launches, you guys know what we do. We put the 24-man on that Tuesday. And it'll become Azure 24-man Tuesdays will be back. It'll be Echoes of Vana'diel. So we'll be grouping in Party Finder. We also like to have people come to the yard just so that we can kind of get a visual. But we do a Party Finder grouping with a password, which gets announced in the FC chat. That allows as many people that can get in as possible first. And then if needed, we'll open it up to Party Finder. But we don't always have to do that, because we usually have good activity, but that's one plan. No, we're definitely looking forward to that. That's going to be a lot of fun. The 24-man raids are always a lot of fun, especially when they first come out. Doing a 24-man raid means that you're going to get a coin at the end, and that coin is going to be able to upgrade your gear. So usually it buys the twine and the coat or whatever, the liquid. And then later on, they unlock the one for the weapon. But yeah, during Azure 24-man Tuesdays, we really like folks to come into VC, hang out, talk, banter, just have a good time while killing those raids. It's a lot of fun. I can only imagine the event videos. We haven't had a 24-man raid that we've done since we started doing event videos. That was recorded. So that's going to be really cool. And I only wish that we could have had some of our old 24-man raid nights on our YouTube, because that would have been some amazing videos. Like the laughs that we have shared in the past while raiding, just too good. So I'm looking forward to that. Outside of Vana'diel, because we could talk about that a long time, there will be new rewards for maps added. Hoping that kind of gives a little bit more incentive for folks to join, because right now we are at the most minimum of rewards possible at maps, and over time, as things get added, it gets a little bit better. So that's coming, as well as additional rewards for Wondrous Tales. So Wondrous Wednesdays also have additional rewards, and EX3 for Mon once we get to 7.1. So right now, we just did 2 weeks of EX2. It's still pretty new for Mon. And that's Mon's our, I guess I should explain in case we got somebody that, might be listening who doesn't know. Mon is our Monstrous Mondays event. So EX2, a few more weeks, and then EX3 when that comes out. That may or may not be right away on patch. We don't know yet. We might find out tonight. So right now, these are plans based on previous releases of how things go. Like, we know for sure there's going to be the 24-man raid and so on and so forth, and the rest. But as for like EX3, we're still waiting on that. We just know it's going to happen at some point. Yeah, so looking at Azure in October in whole, there will be the All Saints Wake event. That's the Halloween-like event for 14. We may be doing something special for that again. Just keep an eye on our announcements. And, of course, the October Grand Assembly will be taking place next month. It's not dated just yet, but it will be. So keep an eye out for that announcement as well. And we are planning now for the 10th anniversary celebration in November, which I mentioned earlier. Dates and information for all of that is going to be available much earlier than it was for Summerfest. Summerfest was a little bit of a crunch period, and I do want to apologize for that. Some information went up a little bit close to the event week, and or the week of, and it was just like a really tight squeeze with some other stuff that was going on. But we're looking to make the most out of this 10th anniversary celebration and also get that information out like ASAP. So 10 years, guys, man. Oh, that's a lot. When we do a 10th anniversary episode of our podcast, like 10th anniversary, not of the podcast, but of Azure on the podcast, that's going to be a special episode. I think that whole episode, we should just talk about memories. That would be a really fun episode. guys doing all right?
Yeah,
doing great.
I was
Okay.
messing with my soundboard, and I didn't want it to go across
Okay.
your recording.
Oh yeah. Yep. That's good.
I was still checking out these awesome games in the state of play.
That's the next thing I was going to bring up. And we'll talk. Let's talk about that now, and then we will go on to Azure Wings before we finish up. I'm just bringing back my list right now. So going down that list I posted in our podcast chat, I think one of the biggest things that got, there was a couple big ones. There's some doozies in here. There's some pretty big ones, but one of the big, like one of them is Ghost of Yotei. Do you guys play Tsushima at all?
I did not.
Ghost of Tsushima?
Yeah.
I wanted to play it. I just never did.
Yeah. I remember the very first E3 it was mentioned because there was still E3. This was a few years back in 2017, actually. If I remember correctly, 2017, 2018. I think it was 2017. And this is back when it was still doing some press stuff with Sony. They had a really cool like galaxy theme, like stars and space theme for all their stuff. And they did this like really cool little display where they had some flute players playing like really old school like Japanese flute music in this little theater in LA, and it was just a really surreal experience. And they announced it was like it's like Ghost of Tsushima, and it just looked beautiful. I remember that first opening of the main character standing in like a field of grass, and the graphics were really good. And we're like, wow, that looks really good. And then they were like, oh, PS4 Pro enhanced and stuff, you know. And so looking at that now and then seeing like how popular it's become, it's even available. It's on PC, right? I think it's on PC too now. It's done really, really well. Yeah. Now we got number 2.
What?
Yeah, it looks awesome. I just watched the trailer for it not too long ago, actually. Like 3 or 4 minutes ago, possibly.
Yep.
It looks really good, and it makes me wish that I had played Ghost of Tsushima. So I might have to get both of them and then just do a straight run.
I mean, it's pretty much guaranteed to be a good game. So, well, the first one definitely has gotten a ton of good things said about it. Lots of good reviews. Kind of no question. I haven't played the first one, but it's like I just know it's good from things I've seen and heard. So Yotei is coming out. Ghost of Tsushima 2, Ghost of Yotei, coming out next year, 2025, by Sucker Punch, and it's focusing on a new protagonist named Atsu, and so far the trailer that is out now looks great. I have no problem with how this looks. I think it's nice. It's gonna make me want to play it. There's not a lot, unless I'm wrong. There's not a lot of like that era Japan that is like this quality and kind of like a AAA type game experience. So I'm interested. I don't care if it's like PS5 Pro enhanced because I could care less about that. But I would like to give that one a shot, definitely.
On PlayStation or on PC?
So my rule of thumb is unless I get a code for free, and something is available on console, I will buy it physical on console. Like I love my PC, but if something is available on console and I have the chance, I'll buy a physical on console.
I get that.
Oh, do you know?
If it's like $2, if it's like $2 and, you know, or comes free in Humble Bundle, then I might end up getting it, but, you know, on PC. But yeah, if I have the chance and there's a physical copy, then I go for console.
The reason I play most of my games on PC is Xbox Game Pass for PC.
Right.
Has awesome. So many games. Oh yeah.
Yep.
So I have that too. I'm just like, well, free.
Absolutely, yeah. And see, that's the other thing too is when I get something on a service like that, I'll play it and I'll kind of consider it the same as if I was like getting something from Blockbuster back in the day, and then wanting to like own it myself, like at some point. Then I'll go buy the game. Even if I've beat the game already and I know I'm not going to play the physical copy, I still need to buy that physical copy and have it on my shelf. So that way when, I look at it, I'm like, I beat that game. Like I can just look at it and be like, yeah, I own it now and I beat it. And if I ever want to replay it, it's right there, even if I don't pay the sub. But Game Pass on PC is so awesome. In my opinion, you don't even need to own an Xbox. Like, why even own an Xbox when there's so much on there and so many good games. The only thing I could think of that I would want to own an Xbox for is Halo 5 because it's not available on there. Like if you wanted to just play 1 through 6, you can't because 5 isn't on there. Anyway. Yeah. Horizon Zero Dawn remastered. Does that need a remaster?
I don't believe it does, but hey.
Like they did a Last of Us remaster?
That's one of the few that I saw on there, and I was like, that doesn't excite me.
I mean, I've already had the game for a while, and it's fine. Like, it's already fine. Like, I don't know what are they remastering on it. I don't really see any notes here. 10 hours of re-recorded dialogue as well as visual enhancements. That's what it says here on the note.
Now listen here. The Legacy of Kain remasters, those I'm down with.
Yep.
Those I'm down with. But remastering a game that's 6 years old?
Yeah.
I don't know.
There we go.
Seems like a cash grab on a good game.
I mean, so PlayStation really loves their Horizon, and I know
7 years old. Sorry.
The third game, yes, yeah, it is 7 years, huh? The third game is in the making. It's supposed to finish it off as a trilogy. So keeping like the first one in that trilogy relevant, I guess, is a game plan. But other than that, I mean. Yeah, I don't know. Why did they have to re-record the dialogue for it to be remastered? Like that's... Oh, well.
Right.
Moving on. Monster Hunter Wilds. I think, is everybody looking forward to that? Do you play Monster Hunter Major?
I have in the past. I don't know. I don't know.
Well, it's okay to be wrong. Ooh.
Rack, you sounded like you were going to say something.
No, I'm so excited for it. I really am. I played the heck out of Monster Hunter World, Monster Hunter Rise. It looks so good. It looks like everything that Monster Hunter World had going that was perfectly well done, like the ecology. And then they just dialed it up to 11.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I'm so excited.
It's like, hey guys, we know you loved World. How about a sequel that's also really awesome with even more? That's kind of like what it feels like, and it's pretty cool. Were you if you played World? Were you in our Azure clan for?
Nope.
Oh, it's crazy. Man. So
when I played it, I was all solo, baby. I was taking down everything solo.
Yeah, I wasn't sure. So that was our first wing. Did you know that?
I did not.
That was our first wing. Our first wing was Monster Hunter. We had posters, reminders, everything, just like we do today with a roll and everything. I think I still have the Monster Hunter channel here that's just hidden from everybody? I think I do, or did I delete it? I think I deleted it finally. I didn't delete it that long ago, though, but I didn't know Worlds was coming out, or Wilds was coming out. So, fun fact.
Let me tell you, if that wing comes back, I know the perfect person to lead it.
Yeah. Well, what was I say? A fun fact is back in 2018 when it came out, we had a person who did lead the first Azure wing for Monster Hunter World, and it was also the same person who had started up the very first Azure Destiny wing, and it wasn't really an official wing yet on Destiny's end. because that kind of fell apart real fast. But the Monster Hunter one kind of took off, and then mid 2019, if you're aware of that year, it exploded and was never heard from again. And not too long after that, we had some like newer people who were really passionate about it, picked it up and was like, hey, let's like really do this the right way for Azure and make it like a more full scale community thing. And I'm like, that's exactly what we had in mind for the Wing. And we did it. We pulled it off. And we had probably 40 people. We had enough people to take like a big group screenshot, almost the same size that we do in 14. It was awesome. We had tons of people on that little ship where you can get together to run things. And it was awesome. It was really awesome. And there was actually a short time too where it was super popular, then it died down, and then Iceborne came out, and it got popular again. And then after Iceborne was out for a little bit, and they were like, oh yeah, we're not making anymore, that's when it died. That's when it died, I think, for everybody, was when we found out Iceborne.
Had a really weird resurgence like last year. It was shortly before Wilds was even announced. It had a resurgence for like no reason. Like on Steam, it jumped from like 10 or 20,000 recurring players to like over 100,000, like within a matter of days, and it was just a weird resurgence.
Interesting. Was that when Wilds was announced? That was announced
no,
a
it
while
was
ago, huh?
It was before that, which is insane to me because it's like somebody knew something was coming, and then it sparked it. I don't know if it was they jumped up advertising for World or something like that. Like
something sparked. Yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah, it was crazy. And then Wilds was announced like a month or two later, and of course the recurring players jumped even more. It was an insane like. Every main streamer was hitting it again. Like ones that had already beaten the game and like killed every single monster, and then all of a sudden they're all back in it. It was like, whoa, this is weird. But I mean, I'm not dogging it. I am happy.
Yeah.
Anything Monster Hunter is great. Like I started it on the actual handhelds, and then when it came to consoles and stuff like that, I couldn't put it down for months.
Yeah. Yeah. Monster Hunter World was something else. Definitely felt like a jump from, what was it, 4G before that?
Yep.
Okay, yeah. And that was good, like, on 3DS and everything, but yeah, it touched on that almost MMO like feeling, but it was just a really fun game, like overall. I think kind of was like up and down with it. Like I had more fun playing with people than I did solo on that one.
Oh yeah, 100%.
Oh, and then we had the 14 crossover of all things.
Yeah. Yep.
Holy crap.
And the fact that Wilds is going to be open world, instead of just like instanced zones, I think is going to be a game changer. I just really hope that the fertility / drought mechanic, it doesn't become a gimmick and it actually feels impactful.
Yeah.
So as long as that feels impactful and that mechanic is done well, I think it'll be really, really neat to see. I mean, that's not even the game I'm most excited for in the state of play.
Well, before we move on from Monster Hunter Wilds, I just wanted to say that we definitely have interest in bringing back the Monster Hunter clan. I don't know what clan features might be in Wilds, but the one thing that became hard for us was when, what was it? What's that one? I'm drawing a blank. What's the one that came out right after World? Not right after.
Rise.
Rise. Okay. So when Rise came out, it was kind of hard to group for, and it was like Switch exclusive, I think, at first.
At first, yep.
Yeah, and then it didn't have a PC release, and we were able to pull it off with people who had Switches here that was interested in playing. We had like a poster for it and everything. We were dual hosting World and Rise at the same time for a few months, and it wasn't really doing that bad. Like, it was full on Azure Wing and a game that's not really like an MMO. It was really cool to see, and then after a little bit, it was like the PC copy of Rise finally came out, but there was like no crossplay, I think. So it just bombed as far as a wing goes. And then by that time, a lot of people like weren't as interested, and then World was dead, like for us at that time. So I'm really, really hoping to see that interest revive. I would love to see another Monster Hunter World type Azure Wing for a while. I think that would be really, really cool. And if we do it right off the bat, like, it'll be viable for at least, a good year or two. So
it's all Defensor's talked about for the last couple months, I swear.
I keep thinking of him. Because I know how much he loves it, and he's gone back to World and to play it again just because he can't wait for Wilds. He loves Monster Hunter. So there's at least a handful of us I know off the bat that's going to be playing it. I'm going to pre-order it as soon as I can. I looked at Amazon, didn't see it available yet for pre-order, so don't know when that's coming out. But we do got to move on. So look forward to that coming back. We'll have that channel and roll back again for sure, because we know that's going to take off. What in the world is Midnight Walk? That looks so weird.
So it looks like a claymation, like almost Tim Burton horror style fantasy claymation game.
Huh.
It's definitely up my girlfriend's alley. In fact, I sent her the reveal trailer, and she is just all over it. But that's what it looks like to me, is like very like Tim Burton claymation-esque, and just like a horror fantasy style game.
It's also on PSVR 2, which is interesting. So that's coming out. There's no release date yet.
Funky, but it's also on Steam.
Oh, is it?
It has a Steam page. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, so it's probably going to be VR on there too, as well, if it's a VR 2 for PS5. Oh, and by the way, one more thing about Monster Hunter. February 28th, so the day after my birthday, it's coming out for Wilds. Hell is Us. What is this? Another horror game, somewhat Souls-like. Sword combat with a drone on your shoulder. No release date yet, but will be coming out as well for the Series X and PlayStation. Interesting. Hell is Us. Power World, of all things, in the midst of its lawsuit, gets shown in the State of Play. I don't know if you guys have been keeping up with that crazy court case going on with Nintendo trying to sue the pants off those guys.
Yep, for copyright infringement or patent infringement, and apparently they haven't even discussed with the Pal World company Pocket Pair what they infringed on. Only that there is an infringement, and so everybody's speculating that the infringement is on the ability to throw a ball and catch something in an open field scenario.
Wow.
So they believe it is not even an infringement on the PALs themselves, which is what everybody had originally thought was going to happen, but on the ability to catch something with a ball in an open field scenario.
Wow, man, so specific.
Because if you've noticed, what other game has done that since Pokemon? None of them? Not specifically with a ball.
So, not with a ball, yeah.
And so the fact that it is a ball in an open field scenario, they're thinking that was patented and copyrighted. Man. Yeah, pretty crazy though. I'm following that one pretty closely because I'm interested.
Yeah. I saw a list of things that you wouldn't think people owned, but there was like one that surprised me. It was like when a character goes inside of like a bush and you see like an outline of that character's like shadow, like a cartoony shadow inside, like that's owned apparently. Apparently that's a I was like,
also,
wow.
There's a company that owns the ability to play mini games in a loading screen.
No
and
way.
So if you notice, there was a huge amount of games. It was about, I would say, about 6 or 7 years ago.
Yeah.
It just had little mini games during the loading screens, or like while you were preloading the game, you'd play a little mini game, stuff like that.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, they all fell off. Well, I can't remember the
is that
company,
why?
but some company copyrighted the ability to have a mini game in their loading screens, and so nobody else could do it. Yeah, it's something so specific.
Oh my gosh.
And
that
so
is so
in order
crazy.
So in order for somebody else to have a mini game in their loading screens, they have to pay for the rights to do it.
Insane. My first thought, just off the top of my head, was bringing back up the Dragon Ball Tenkaichi series. Tenkaichi 3 had a little mini game thing, you know, as well, like a whole bunch of different ones. But yeah, that's funny. Not a full on mini game, but just stuff you could do on the loading screen that was kind of funny. But yeah, so Power World's PS5 release is postponed in Japan while the lawsuit's going. But I guess you can play it now on PS5. It's already out on PS5 in the West. So Japanese gotta wait for a little bit, unless they use a VPN or something, right? Whatever you got to do to get a different country's like game store or something like that. We've got there's a new Metro game.
Metro Awakening.
And it's Awakening. It's a VR game. I like Metro, but I don't like VR. I'm not a VR guy. I liked the concept of VR, but I can't VR due to sickness. I get VR sickness very easily.
Yep. Same boat.
It's so hard. Like, I want to play those so bad, but
I can play certain games like Beat Saber. I can play all day, not a problem. But you put me in anything where I have to actually like look around and do things at the same time.
Yep.
I can't do it.
Yeah, it was bad when I tried to do it. I had like a mecha game, like you're like in the cockpit and you're like flying around and doing flips and spins and space and all kinds of. I was getting sick, and
I had a game that I was playing with some friends, actually some friends that are currently in the FC. It was called Legendary Tales was the name of it. It was like it was a dungeon crawler. You go in there, you fight skeletons, you fight goblins, you can cast magic, use your bow, sword, whatever. And I got about 2 hours into playing with them, and I couldn't keep my lunch down. And so I had to excuse myself because like it was like 4 of us playing in a party, and it was really fun. And I didn't want to stop, and that caused issues.
Yeah.
And I haven't touched VR since.
I tried Skyrim VR, and it's funny how like when you're actually in the VR, you look at things you usually almost like wouldn't really care too much about. Like there's a tree in Riverwood that I was just looking at, and I'm like, how many times have I passed this tree playing this game? But because I'm in VR, it's like I feel like it's actually in front of me, and I want to like look around it and appreciate the bark. Like it was crazy. I like didn't know why I was having those thoughts, but I'm like, I don't have these thoughts normally unless I'm like in a VR, like just looking at the sawmill, like wow, look at that. You know, I'm like moving around with my own head, like looking at it. And I did actually spend a couple years with my PSVR when I got it, and didn't play it for a couple of years. I just had it for a couple of years and kept trying to go back over and over. I did like YouTube VR, where they're just doing like walks through Japan, and you can like look around as if you were like there and stuff. Thought that was kind of cool. Animals and some other stuff. But overall, the problem I had was not just motion sickness. It was also this really strange effect. And I don't know like if anybody else gets this. Maybe it's tunnel vision. But when I took off the VR after having it on for like an hour, the room looked so small, and my TV, which is normally like a big TV, like looked weird. Like it just looked small. Everything looked small to me, and it was giving me anxiety. I was like, what the crap is it doing to my brain? But yeah, Metro Awakening VR, it'll be also out on MetaQuest and Windows. You'll be able to play it on PC VR platforms as well, November 7th.
That's what she said.
Yep. Arcade is actually back in the form of Arcade Chronicles. Not sure what to think of that. It's a Souls-like, but I saw people on a thread earlier. Okay, no problem. saw people on a thread earlier saying something about that game is like still has some kind of like MMO-ness to it. So I don't know.
Yeah, it looked like in one of the parts of the trailer, it looked as if there was a bunch of players working together. Yeah, so at about a minute 13 in the trailer, minute 10 somewhere in there, it looks like there's like 4 players or so working together against one boss, and there's another part of the trailer where it also looks the same, different boss, but so it looks as if there are portions of the game that will be open world and you'll have friends to fight with, but I, as an Arcade veteran, somebody who played from alpha on and played it for many months, wasted too much of his time in it and probably too much of his money. I just wish they'd either bring back Arcade, not make it pay to win, and make it amazing, or let it die.
Just let it die. I was wondering if that's what you were going to say next. Yeah.
Like, we don't need Arcade to
become a franchise.
Yeah, we don't need Arcade Chronicles. we just an Arcade 1 without a cash shop. Like, a loyalty, cool. Do a loyalty system where, like, if somebody wants to pay $10 a month, they get loyalty tokens. You buy stuff off the shop for loyalty tokens that are not sellable on the market. Great. Make it a pay system, but don't go like, hey, you want to buy this box? It could have sweet loot in it. Like, I don't.
Right.
I've spent thousands on that game doing that shit. And I know how quickly you can fast track.
Yeah.
So it's like, I just either remake it as a good game or just don't touch it again.
It's funny. It's described as a medieval setting with big, scary bosses.
Yeah.
But one of the pet peeves, like we'll move on and go to the next one here in a second, but I just wanted to say real quick, one of my pet peeves is when there's an MMO that suddenly is like not a very popular or around MMO anymore, and they have some single player game like based on it. And it's like,
yeah, right.
That's so weird when they do that, because like when they came out with like there's an old phone game that was pretty popular for a while, and this is before like current gen smartphones. This was like the early days of smartphones, and it was Grand Blue Fantasy. And Grand Blue evolved from that simple like original, little like just text and like little pictures and text and and some fights that were very simple. Like this game was very, very simple back then. Turned into like a fighting game, and like another one that's got like an offline single player adventure that's coming out. If it's not out already, I don't remember because I haven't been paying attention to that one. But I'm thinking like, what happens when the online one or the mobile one, whether it's a mobile game, which they do that too, mobile games that have big AAA spin-offs, single player spin-offs. What happens when that mobile game and that MMO is like long gone, and there's just this like existing single player adventure for something that you're never gonna like learn the rest of the lore for? Yep. That drives me crazy. Like, it's might be cool when it first come out, but I don't know.
I'll do you one better. When they have a single player game, make an MMO about it and for it, but it plays like a single player game.
Oh yeah.
Like you have the MMO and you're like, great, I can play with my friends, and then it feels like it's made to be single player. I love that so much.
Do you have a good example of one, or?
Oh gosh, Star Wars. I'm sorry. For me, I played all of the ones previous to that. Yeah. And when that first launched as an MMO, I'm like, great. Like, I remember playing Star Wars Galaxies, which was an MMO.
Old Republic 3, technically.
Yeah, and then I jumped into that, and I'm like, great, now I can play this awesome game with my friends, and I'm like, okay, this storyline is definitely single-player focused, and it's like, I felt like I had to do the entire storyline by myself before I could even involve my friends, because I'm just like, well, but they want to do their own things for their own class, and it felt weird.
Today with SOTOR, I've been getting into it in the past like 8 months or so, and I'm actually almost 12 months in. I've been getting into it. I like it because it's Star Wars. It's like the main thing. But
Right.
the writing, not bad story. Doing things together is really only relevant when you're doing flashpoints. Because outside of flashpoints, there's not a whole lot of reason.
You're single player, right?
yeah. Like I'm not
because like
there's a few world bosses,
you,
but
there's a community that I was playing with recently. I wasn't playing the game, but I had played other games with them. I hadn't played SOTOR, but they got into SOTOR, and I'm experiencing it with them, per se. And when they're like, okay, now we'll go do your quests for your class, and we'll go do some of those quests, and then we'll do some quests for your class, and I'm just like, wait, what? So basically, you're gonna go single player. You're just helping them do their single player quest.
Yeah, you're just following them around when they do their quest. Yeah.
I was like, oh god, this reminds me of Guild Wars.
What's funny?
Guild Wars 1 completely, like, as a party, experienced the entire story. Guild Wars 2, it was single player. And no, mind you, nothing against that because it was great. But you would go do your level, say 45 mission, and then you're like, oh great, now let's go do your level 45 mission for your character because you chose a different race, class, path. And it's like, oh no.
At least with Elder Scrolls, you can play it like a single, but you can also quest share. And when you share it, like it's done for the other person too. So that's kind of cool.
And I think that's what those two games are missing because MMO setting where they just have weird single player moments.
It's kind of like, unless you want to follow me around, we can't do much until it's time for both of us to do a dungeon-like thing. Otherwise, it's single player.
Yep.
For the most part, yeah.
It's just a weird aspect, you know?
Unless you want to, like, queue for Starfighter or PvP or something. Like, yeah. I mean, like, it's pretty much just, like, something you have to, like, know what you're getting into and just accept it. And then, because if you're expecting, like, something as co-opable as some other MMOs, then it's like, I don't know, this might be kind of disappointing. But dang, there was something I was going to tell you about that too, and I just forgot what it was. But we do have to keep moving on here. Are you a fan of the Lunar RPGs by chance?
I have not played any of them.
They're very, very good, especially the original Silver Star story and Eternal Blue, the sequel. There's a couple other ones that are spin-offs. The DS one did not do very well. It's kind of its own thing. The Game Boy Advance one, Lunar Legend, was basically just like a retelling of Silver Star story in a much more truncated form on the GBA, but it was also pretty good if you had a GBA. I've never played it before. But these are like the original two, and Lunar Eternal Blue, there was like a remaster of the first one of Silver Star on the PSP, and it was available like digital, and it was available physical, and this was not that long ago. Number 2 though has not been seen since like the 90s, and it was also limited back then. So so a lot of people have resorted to like ROMs and stuff for the sequel for years, for so long, and they're finally making a brand new finally once and for all like re-release of both games remastered, and it's pretty nice. It's pretty nice to see that. Also, holy crap, my PC is overheating for some reason, and I don't know why. Jeez Louise, it keeps spiking at like 80 degrees Celsius.
Because it's getting excited about all these sweet games.
I don't know why it's doing that. I don't have much open. Like, I don't understand why it's doing that. It's kind of freaking me out. Fans keep going like really, really heavy, and then it slows down again. It's just bouncing between like 55 and 80. I don't know why. Well, hopefully it doesn't explode here. So let's see. Yeah, you were talking about Legacy of Kain earlier. You a fan of those? Sounds like.
I played the hell out of the Soul Reaver games when I was a young man, child. I don't know. I can't remember how long ago it was. It was a long time ago, though.
When I was a young warthog.
Yeah, and I played the heck out of it. It's actually one of the first series that I beat in a row.
Lion King fan here.
Like right next to like Diablo and the Torment games.
Yeah.
Like, and Legend of Mana, of course. That whole series. Like, one of the few series that I beat in a row.
The Mana series, also very, very good. Seiken Densetsu,
Mm-hmm.
very good.
So yeah, I saw that those are being remastered, and I'm like, dog, I don't care that the graphics are old school. Like, I still love that. I'm down.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, sometimes all we want is just like something we were already familiar with, just brought to like a newer like style or a newer console, newer system or something. Just bring it back so it's easier to access. Do you know who owns Legacy of Kain right now, the franchise?
No.
Square Enix.
Really?
Yeah. So Square Enix got it back when they acquired Eidos back in the like early 2010s or late 2000s, when they got the whole like Tomb Raider, Hitman, Deus Ex package with all those games.
That's crazy.
And they now don't have them because as of last year, they still have Legacy of Kain, but they don't have the other ones now because actually, you know what? No, they don't have Legacy of Kain now. What happens was they made Crystal Dynamics, and Crystal Dynamics was basically the studio that was meant to make all of those Eidos owned stuff that they bought as a subsidiary. They bought Eidos as a subsidiary, and then they wanted Crystal Dynamics to manage all that. I remember back when that happened too, because Monty from Rooster Teeth, prior to that, he did a lot of stuff here in our local convention community, like animations and stuff. He was moving to Texas to go be with Rooster Teeth, and he got a job offer for Crystal Dynamics. He turned down Crystal Dynamics for Rooster Teeth. And yeah. And I mean,
that didn't age well.
He made Ruby. I mean, you know, he made Ruby. They've had a lot of memorable moments, and he didn't regret it because his job would have been working on the Tomb Raider reboot. Tomb Raider.
I go into old teams to read books.
Yeah, Master of Hieroglyphs, Lara Croft, just reads all day. That'd be like a reading game. I don't know.
Right.
But he was supposed to be working on Tomb Raider if he would have went there. So he went to Rooster Teeth instead. And I remember that time period specifically because of that. And back in those days, like when they bought Eidos, Crystal Dynamics is working on those titles. And here's the funny thing: they made another game in the Legacy of Kain series, developed after they bought it, called Nosgoth. And it was like a horrible multiplayer game that died weeks after.
It.
You played it? I was about to ask if you played that because most people don't even remember or know what it is.
I still have it in my Steam list.
I have it in my Steam too, just because like it's something they made. But
it was good. I loved it.
Oh man, it wasn't bad, but it didn't do well.
Yeah,
it didn't do well. It died like real fast. I remember it being at Comic-Con, and then like after that, you know, it's like all that hype just went nowhere, and it died. So Nosgoth, after that, they said screw it. They didn't want to touch it. So now that Crystal Dynamics is like free from Square to make like new stuff, they're making the that new Tomb Raider game with the new Lara Croft that was kind of like controversial on Twitter for a little while, and now they're making this. They're making the remaster. But hey, I mean, that's great. Like, remaster some of the good stuff like that, and I think that series is good enough to like definitely deserve some remasters like that. Because I know a lot of people love Soul Reaver, and they've been wanting to see another one for a while. So maybe the remaster is to test the waters. Maybe.
I mean, there's a Crystal Dynamics. I just looked at their developer page. They own a lot of those older games, and if this is like a precursor or testing the market, there's a lot of those older games that they could easily bring back and do remasters of. You know, that I think could be really good.
You know why they split from Square?
No. Nope.
So Square Enix about was it a year ago maybe? I could be off a little bit, but it seems like it was about a year ago. They said we're not working on any more Western titles. Like, we're just going to focus on stuff that's popular in Japan, and if the West wants it, we'll localize it. But we're just going to focus on like the main stuff, like Dragon Quest, Final Fantasy, Star Ocean, you know, regular like normal Square Enix stuff. Not trying to do like Hitman and Deus Ex or anything like that anymore. Which is kind of sad because like those weren't bad. They just weren't really Square Enix type normal games. Like, they're not RPGs, they're not JRPGs. So maybe this is a good thing though, because maybe Crystal Dynamics has this like new era of like freedom that they can kind of do stuff now and kind of have some creativity and, like I said, test the waters. So speaking of Hitman, there's a Hitman VR game coming out. Hitman 3 VR Reloaded. I haven't played like any of the new ones ever since Absolution or whatever came out. I've played the original though, like Blood Money and Contracts. Those games, those were good.
Right.
Was it the second one, Hitman 2 Silent Assassin? You could go around and like collect everybody in the neighborhood and put them all like in the dumpster. It was fun. And of course we can't glaze over Fantasia Neo Dimension, or Fantasian, my bad. That's the game that was worked on by none other than the creator of Final Fantasy, Hironobu Sakaguchi, and Yoshi P, together in unison with the legendary Nobuo Uematsu of Final Fantasy musical history. Together, the ultimate trio of FF, basically. I mean, there's some others I'd probably throw into that trio, and it wouldn't be a trio anymore. But as far as FF Superstars, they brought Sakaguchi's game Fantasian from the clutches of Apple away onto consoles, and then touched it up a lot and made it even better. And it was so awesome when they first announced that, because like I saw like pictures on Twitter of like Yoshi and Sakaguchi like together, and they've had like this funny like bromance thing going on since the European Fan Fest when he was there, and Yoshi was like super honored to have him there, and Sakaguchi like told Yoshi, you know, thank you for making Final Fantasy even better, and then Yoshi like almost fainted like when he said that. And they're just like, it's just really cool. And Sakaguchi's relationship with Square has like kind of been up and down since he left Square, and I saw him kind of come back around for the first time in like over 15 years when the FF15 event in San Francisco took place before 15 launched, and then just kind of seeing him like kind of ease back into the scene with Square is just really, really cool. Sakaguchi said like working with Square Enix again, like on an actual like game that he was working on with them, along with Nintendo, just felt like home. He said it felt like home again. And you know, I've watched these guys for decades, and their work and stuff like that, and I miss Sakaguchi as a Square developer, because even though like his work on, he didn't do like a lot on 10 or 9, I think. I don't know, like he's the father of Final Fantasy, so it's just really, really nice to see him getting to work with Yoshi P and produce something. Plus, Fantasian, if you didn't know, this is a game that was made with dioramas, like real life dioramas. They spent tons of time making a full-scale JRPG game where instead of just graphics, it's actual dioramas with graphics like overlaid, like characters walking through dioramas. Really, really neat. A tweet I saw this morning, actually, they were saying that it was like from an interview they did, because Tokyo Game Show is going on right now as we speak, and there's a Fantasian booth there with Sakaguchi and Yoshi P. And Yoshi P was he's been doing some funny stuff. I saw him hanging out there at the Romancing Saga 2 remake booth as well. He was like sitting on a giant throne. And during an interview, Sakaguchi-san, father of Final Fantasy, he said that he wanted to make there's this like big airship that's on the cover of Fantasian, and it's like a solid ship that you're centered around throughout the game. He wanted to make the diorama of it explode like the Ultraman series, like the old Tokusatsu series, where they did like, you know, like old Godzilla type filming, where it would be like people in costumes and little dioramas, and they'd make it explode with like fireworks and stuff. He wanted to like blow it up so bad, but they couldn't figure out a way to fit it in the game, so they didn't do it. Otherwise, that ship that you see would be like completely destroyed in the game. But yeah, that's coming out December 5th actually. So Fantasian lives again. I was kind of bummed out because I don't do Apple, and I'm like, there's no other way to experience that. So I really wanted to play it. Now it's kind of touched up with Yoshi's touch as well, and coming out on PS5 and Switch. And then we've got Sonic Shadow Generations, which looks really cool. I've seen some really cool cutscenes from that. There was actually like a really crazy looking fight scene I saw from that game. I was really surprised. Other than that, I'm just kind of scrolling down here.
There's one big one you're missing that I'm super excited for.
Let me guess. Dynasty Warriors?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. I was going to ask you about Dynasty Warriors. I didn't know if you were a Dynasty Warriors player or not. Or just a Muso fan in general.
I love Dynasty Warriors so much.
Just Dynasty Warriors or like all the Muso games?
I love them all. When they did like Dynasty Warriors Gundam, they've done Samurai Warriors. I own all the Samurai Warriors games.
Ask you about all those.
I've owned most of the Dynasty Warriors games, including
nice.
So I started on Romance of the Three Kingdoms 3.
Oh man, you're
like
the
NES.
OG. Yep.
Like OG. And then I'm like, okay.
Yep.
And then I dropped it. Like I played a couple of those games. I dropped it for a long time. And then when I was in my mid-teens.
That's way back.
My cousin invites me over and he says, "Hey, I got this game you should play with me." And it was Dynasty Warriors 4. Oh my gosh! Ever since then, I have loved them. And then when they came out with like Dynasty Warriors Legends and stuff like that, where you could actually go around, and it was almost like Romance of the Three Kingdoms.
Right.
Oh, I have loved them. So I've been waiting for a good like Dynasty Warriors games because the last couple have just been like. It's almost like copy paste, right?
Right.
But this one looks to have different mechanics with like
amazing.
The overworld.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and this looks so good, and it's on PS5 too.
I'm really hoping that it has. They showed the large scale battle mechanic. I'm really hoping they put more emphasis on that rather than just you running around doing everything by yourself.
Yeah.
Because in some of the Samurai Warriors games, you especially Samurai Warriors 1, I think it was 1. If you didn't actually go around the battle and do certain objectives, you would lose. You just simply would lose.
Yeah, you had to get to objectives at some point.
Yeah, they would push one side of the map, and you couldn't just go, I'm not finished over here. I'm gonna do this thing real quick. No, if they were pushing on one side, you had to go help defend. You had to rally your commanders. You had to rally your troops, because if you didn't, that whole side of the map would just crumble, and then you are just you're clawing yourself back from defeat, if you can even do so. And I really hope they go back to that, because it just feels impactful to do something.
Yeah.
I go on and on about dinosaurs. I forget a lot.
I was gonna say, did you ever play Sengoku Basara?
Mm-hmm.
I had a feeling you might have.
There was
Basara was pretty cool.
Yeah, all of them. All of those style of games. Anything that revolves around the Three Kingdoms era.
I started on Dynasty Warriors 2, I think, or 3. 2 or 3.
Right on.
Whatever one of the first PS2 ones was. I used to laugh because the character Cao Pi, he's like, I am Cao Pi.
Yeah.
It's just I'd play that over and over. I am Cao Pi.
Yeah. Actually, I love that whole period so much that I actually went back after Total War, Three Kingdoms.
Mm-hmm.
I played the hell out of that, and then I went back and found out there was a live action series that was made in China for the Three Kingdoms warring period.
Mm-hmm.
And I actually went back, and it was on YouTube at the time.
Did you watch it?
It was free, and I watched all of it. Oh my gosh, it is so well done. It's 90 episodes, each of them an hour long.
90.
And
it's a live action?
Yeah, live
Oh my
action.
gosh.
And it is phenomenal.
Wow.
The acting, super, super authentic.
Huh.
It follows Cao Cao
Uh-huh.
and Liu Bei for the most part, like
Uh-huh.
early on. It's just, like it has Lu Bu, has Dong Zhuo, has everything that you see in all of those series, and you're just like, oh my gosh, like this time period was truly iconic.
Yeah.
And so it just made me love Dynasty Warriors stuff even more, really.
I bet you're pretty happy to see that announcement, huh?
Oh yeah. Yeah.
January 17th, 2025. January 20th. So kicking off the new year with some Warriors actions. This is Dynasty Warriors Origins, too. It kind of makes me think, like, we're going to see, like, you know, the origins of some of these characters, or, you know, seeing them come together for, like, the first time or something. Really
I would
cool.
love
Great place
that.
to start for current gen Dynasty Warriors. It's been a while. Like, how long did did we even have one on PS4? I think we might have one, maybe. Because there was a Vita one, and I remember there being PS3 ones. I don't remember there being many PS4 ones. I don't know.
Um, what was the latest one to release? Nine? Nine was in 2020, in Japan. The rest of the world got it in 2022.
Okay.
So that one might have come out
I don't even
on
remember
PlayStation
that.
4. Yeah,
Probably,
Dynasty Warriors
yeah.
9 was the most recent one, and it didn't release to much acclaim, especially in the States. But yeah, it was released on PlayStation
Yeah.
4.
They're kind of hit or miss
Um,
here.
and actually, it released on in 2022 on PlayStation 5 even,
Yeah.
and Xbox One, Xbox Series X,
I
even
love this
Switch.
this shot of the trailer thumbnail is like the guy standing there looking at all the horses coming towards him. Reminds me a
Yeah,
lot of like Jon Snow from that one scene.
and I mean
With all the horses coming towards him. Yeah, but it's going to be like pretty epic. I saw some gameplay already. Looks good. Looks good. PS5, Xbox Series S. Like I said, January 17th. So not really a whole lot of else that really stood out to me. There were a couple other games announced. A few more. But Alan Wake 2 expansion. A couple other games here and there. But that was pretty much the meat of it that we just went over.
yep.
And if you are listening, you can definitely feel free to let us know if there was anything else that stood out at the games we've already talked about, or anything else at State of Play that took place here in September 2024. A lot of good games coming out. That Metaphor game looks pretty cool. Really interesting style. It's very Persona-like, but also kind of has its own style as well. Kind of considering that one too. There's just so much. There's so much coming out. I'm actually like thankful for that too. Like good games are coming out. Still need to play Space Marine. That's on my list. Space Marine 2.
Same.
Definitely need to get around to that. I don't know if that's going to happen next month because there's already a lot of games going on for me. Amidst everything else that we do. Azure is my number one priority for sure. But in the off time, I try to work on some of my other games. But that is that for the State of Play discussion. Before we end here, I do want to just give a couple updates to our listeners on what we're doing in some of our other games outside of FF14. So current Azure Wings are continuing to kind of be in a like developmental casual state. It was really easy for us to work on, always focus on the development of our FF14 FC. We've always been really open about letting the community know that is like our main priority. We don't want anybody to ever think that anything will suffer because we're trying to like work on the other communities within our community. But that is why keeping things casual in the wings, as we call them, the other guilds, makes it work, because people who join knowing that they're casual. Several of the wing games actually allow you to have multiple guilds, so it's also very like no stress for like anybody that's in our community that joins them. They're like, all right, cool, I'll join another place that's more active while I join Azure's as well as it builds, and that's just kind of been like a plus too. Like that's real common with like Guild Wars and ESO, for example. It's easy for members to do that. Over in SOTOR, we picked up like, over 100 recruits on top of folks that have been in our community that have joined it over there. And it's doing really well. We're like 2 levels away from having a max ranked level 50 guild, which is awesome. It takes a while to get to that point. Interesting that in that game, like the higher ranked, the more buffs and stuff like that you get. It's really cool. We've been trying to keep up with those rankings and invasions that you can do over there, which is kind of neat. It gives everybody a bonus. We've got a fully fleshed out fleet flagship with a really awesome hull over there. That's our little spaceship. It's pretty cool. And that's been coming along really, really well. So I think that D2, Destiny 2, is one of our most successful wings that we've ever had. Events vary in activity, but that game is big on 3-man content. So as long as you have 2 or 3 people running content, like that is sometimes those small groups is all you need. So we've been seeing a good amount of folks off and on, either hopping into VC or just like being in the in-game side of like on PlayStation voice chat or doing things together through like the clan menu and stuff. That's been going really, really well. We're a few months after the last expansion update, and we've been going through what's called Destiny 2 Echoes. It's a 3-part episodic content release, which with part 3 that's ending very soon. Part 3 was pretty grindy, but during our events and also like even outside of events, we have had quite a bit of people getting through the episode 3 content. We've at least been trying to get people up to episode 3 of Echoes. I went through, finished the last of it the other day and got some recordings of it. But that'll be up on our YouTube soon, since I already had episodes 1 and 2 of Echoes already up. But we're days away from Destiny 2 Revenant, the next one. That's the next episodes. And it's kind of cool because while there's been a lot of controversy over what's going on with Destiny, I've been enjoying the heck out of it because I liked Echoes. I had a lot of fun doing all the quests, collecting all the specimens, and filling the helm with all the little like terrariums that you get to build from doing those quests. That's been a lot of fun. I got an awesome roll on the exotic with a pattern, so I can recraft it. We've had a few people coming through recently that we've gotten dungeon and dungeon clears for, as well as the story mode knocked out. Terry and I went in and duoed like the latest. It's not a dungeon, but it's like it's a dungeon like run called Encore, which you got to do like a few times. Aptly named, by the way, because you have to do it a few times. But overall, D2 is going great. We've got some new Guardians that have joined us recently, so that's been cool. And with SOTOR and Destiny, well underway, doing very well. SOTOR does not have weekly events just yet, but it's definitely building. Things have been pretty stable with those. Guild Wars 2 is still pretty dormant. We had a Pathfinder, which is our rank for a person that basically spearheads like large event and recruitment projects in a guild, who is not a wing commander or an Azure Council leader, but someone that is very, very passionate about a game that kind of helps us on that front. Our wing commander, not our wing commander, our Pathfinder recently hit like a tragedy happened in their life, so they are on a break, and development in Guild Wars 2 has become a little bit slower. We are always allowing people in to join, but letting them know that it's kind of in a state right now where we're just kind of collecting interested people that want to join and not really doing much else with it for now. But it will remain dormant until we have more plans. And of course, the rest of the council and I are limited, and not all of us play that game. So, and yeah, that's kind of where that one's at. But PSO2 is kind of in a similar state. Our alliance over there is basically just scouting people and building up with plans to either like take on content that's been announced in some of the recent PSO2 headlines, or just kind of remain casual for now, because as long as it remains casual, it kind of takes the stress off of it, expectations needing to be like as crazy as our 14FC. Our 14FC is prolific in Midgard-Stormer server. It is known to be high in activity rankings for having an active, organized, and friendly community, and it's been involved since very, very early in 14's life. We can't really at this time produce, like, just honestly speaking, we can't produce the same quality as our 14 FC as far as massive amounts of events and activity goes for a little while until we get the wings, and the goal is not really to have an equivalent guild in the other ones with those wings. The goal is to have a casual, fun environment for members who are part of our community to join those wings and be able to play together as well. And if those grow, then that's great. Then, if they get to a point where for our 14 FC is at, wonderful. But we want to make sure that people are, mostly thinking of them as casual and having fun with them. But we definitely want to invite people to join them, because the more the merrier, and the more that becomes possible with the more of us that can play together. So just a statement on the activity of those. We do have some good stuff going on in ESO as well. Elder Scrolls Online on both PlayStation and PC. 2 guilds, 1 on each, since they are not cross-platform. We have raised 2 individual guilds with 2 individual guild halls that were fun to obtain, and are recruiting in both. So if you play on PlayStation or PC, you can join up to 5 guilds on there. Doesn't hurt to add Azure in and kind of be there and have those benefits from what we have going on there as we build over there. We are doing what we plan to do. May not always happen depending on what we're doing with the FC, but we do have scheduled like recruitment drives where myself or maybe me and one other person will do like a recruitment drive in each of our wings. So they are all slowly building up, and like I said, they are all coming along. There is some new games coming out, like Monster Hunter Wilds, that may see future wings return or new ones be created. We don't just make an Azure guild and call it a wing. We have to kind of have like a viable world or a viable game, a viable game world that we know is going to last a while, and we know is at least got some kind of guild or clan system. So there are a few other ones we've been looking at. It never hurts to get them going as long as we have like a small number of people interested in playing together there, and always open-minded to what's possible and what's upcoming. So Major and I, we did get into the Throne of Liberty beta earlier this year, and we had a lot of fun with that. We are getting into the release that just came out, currently in early access, to see the viability of that game and see what that would be like. Does have an interesting guild system, it does, but we're not sure yet how that one's going to take off, if it's going to be a hit or miss. I don't think it's going to be a miss, but I don't know if it's a hit, so it's going to be a little while till we see on that. We've had a lot of people asking about that though, because the aesthetic and the vibe of that game does feel like Azure. So very, very like medieval, very pretty medieval armor and medieval aesthetic kind of thing, fantasy medieval. Anyway, that is the status on our wings. The games themselves have all had some form of expansion or update this year. It's quite amazing, actually. They kind of surprised us with the Janther Wilds Guild Wars 2 expansion. Just kind of like, I don't even think it was before summer that we heard about it. It was like summer happened and then bam, it came out like in August. It was just really, really fast. SOTOR 7.5.1 update is actually pretty neat. Recently they brought like date night scenarios that you can do. So you can romance characters and companions. There's a number of other things going on, like housing updates. It's kind of something that we don't have time to go down the whole list of, but you can definitely look up the 7.5.1 update for SOTOR, or go to azurenet.com and look up our SOTOR section and just kind of catch all that news. We are updating on these games and most of their major news bits almost every day. Our social media pages are constantly full of updates for these games as well as our guilds and what we're doing. Sometimes member screenshots, announcements of ours, as well as like the new content drops as well. So you can always find that information on Azure socials, Facebook pages. We have a page for every wing that we have, as well as our Azure Global, Azure Infinitum, and then we're on a number of other popular social media sites. You can also find all of our links at our directory on our website. We just click directory, or directory in Discord as well. And as for that, I think I would like to finish by just giving a shout out to the Azure Scout Squad Initiative and Support Team, aka Assist, our Azure's support backbone for light moderation, recruitment, and member support. I want to thank our Assist Corps for just being a really awesome, friendly, nice, organized group of people who continue to support the council and I, as well as many of you in our community who might be listening. And we are always looking forward to the next generation of our recruits. We've seen a lot of new faces come in, so we definitely want to welcome all of our recruits. Probably something I should have said at the beginning. But my notes are a little scattered today. I was kind of like lack of sleep, and I prepared these like a couple days ago, and just things have been kind of crazy. Been trying to get some videos out, but you know, we want to make sure that we take the time, at least somewhere in the episode, give that shout out to our new members and all of those that are supporting within our community. We have one of the best generations of our community that I've seen in probably forever, as far as people that are just really, really, really friendly, down to earth. You know, this is a place where we want to come and have fun. The goal is fun and, you know, no drama. Like we are here to organize fun events and have a good time together. And that's what it's all about. Rack, Major, do you guys have any parting words for this episode?
I guess I'll go first. Yeah,
you might not be back
just
yet.
Basically the same thing that you said. I would also like to thank all of the assist team. I'd also like to thank all of the regular members that make this community great. Even the friends that we've met that aren't in the FC at all, that have come to some of our events. You guys are awesome. You are the lifeblood of the community, lifeblood of the game that we love so much. And without you guys, it just honestly wouldn't feel like the home that we built it to be. So just the fact that everybody sticks by us and goes through all of these events with us and helps to support our community and come to all of our Azure days and supports the game, it means the world to me and to the rest of the council. So that's pretty much all I gotta say about that.
Well said. Well said. All right. I think Major is I think he's away, but we're going to go ahead and wrap up here. Again, thank you to all who listened and made it to the end of this episode. We will continue to keep up new episodes as we try to keep to a 2-week schedule, roughly. There are some factors that might contribute to us extending by a week or so. But our goal is roughly 2 episodes a month, just to make sure that we keep all of you in the loop, as well as kind of just have this chance to chat about recent things, might be in the game industry, stuff that Azure is planning or looking forward to. And also the ability for those of you listening to kind of get to know us and our voices, whether you play with us every day or you maybe never get the chance to hear us. It's a great way for us to connect to the community, one of many ways, along with our assemblies and updates and things like that. But overall, we are just, like as Rack said, very, very grateful for all the support. Azure is a labor of love, 100%. Like we both just said, it is a labor of love, and it means the world to us for this to have the support of our members, folks that appreciate our rules and abide by them, and just helpful, supportive membership. It means a lot from all ranks. And that, folks, is the end of episode 31 of Azure Infinitum podcast. Thank you all, and we will see you on the next episode or in game.